evening. Uh, I would like to thank FCDI team to invite me here for the wonderful event. Um, I'm not sure that I'm going to do justice for the topic, photography, but I'm trying to use the photography as a media to take you to the Sri Lankan context, to experience how I was trying to deal with it, with the experientials of spaces. Photography is actually a challenging thing uh, when it comes to do how to capture the feel of the spaces, because we are architects, we are trying to deal or design with the feeling. So it's very important in our architecture how to get the mood, or how we can't call it like a concept, but to carry out with throughout the project. So it has to be understand our ideas when you're trying to get the photographs. So before I start the presentation or a few projects that I'm selected for today, I would like to thank my photographers who have been working with me throughout 12 years of practice. And um, I, I want to thank Varuna and Mahesh and Sebastian, who are my photographers and my friends actually, who have been going through my work and trying to understand what I'm trying to do, or to design with the context. So my practice is actually started in 2005, graduated in 2004. It's 12 years practice. But I'm trying to do in a different context to match the different functions of the spaces of our client. And this is where I started my career, the initial office that I've started in 2005, and it's a very small office. And I'm trying to maintain that scale of the office to be more personalized with the work, and that I can handle easily, and to deal with the staff and to be with the more detail. So this is the office that I have converted, annexed into my office space. And the number of staff, I always want to have maximum 8. So I think still I'm trying to maintain that. It can be low, but maximum is 8. And it's a very one room actually. We started as a one room, and even the first project that I'm trying to show you is nothing without that office. I just did that, I drafted it, and then we did everything on site. So basically, that is the way that I'm practicing even now. Basic drawings, I'm trying to do it with the, tender level. Then I'm going every day or most of the time, and we change or improve on site. So it's a hands-on, and again, it's a slow phase kind of a thing. So today, this is actually, everyone, like this is a Sri Lankan map, and it's actually a great ecological and social diversity it has, even though it's a small island. And I had a fortunate to design in all, maybe around the country, you can call it, because most of the time we focus in Colombo, but other parts like Jaffna and Nuwara, the middle hill country, is different climate. So I have chance of experiencing or experimental with different materials and different language of architecture to match the climate and the requirements. So the first project actually, it's not a project that I designed for as a bungalow. It's actually commissioned to do a powerhouse inside of a tea estate of hill country. So this is actually the few images that I have selected to give you an idea about the main project. But I'm not going to discuss about the main project because it's actually more technical and is a requirement of a hydro project. So we have created a little bit of homely environment within that spaces. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the project that I'm going to share. Actually, these photographs I have taken, then I understand I need to use a better photographer than myself. So this is actually maybe not good photographs, but to get you idea. So this is a layer, the site where it's located. So you can see the main road winding on that hillside, and there's another road going as a private road towards the tea estate. And we found a land overlooking a nice valley and very small plot of land. So we have to design within the land. It's very simple design So then these are some of the sketches that I was trying to, find a form or a planning, started the views and think of the scale and how to do his requirements. And then we came up with the idea of having the, how to do it with the economical base, because the cost is very less for the project, because the main idea is to build a hydro project, as I mentioned. So I'm trying to orient all my main building or functions along the contours, that you are not spending so much money on the foundation to cantilever or do any other things, but I'm trying to get everything in a different orientation, that you get different views of the valley and different experience to the user. And then I'm trying to take you to this plan. It's a very simple plan. You can see it is little twisted. The main function, as you enter, you come to the lobby or the living space, then you're going into the spaces that you're trying to, as a 3-bedroom, that as a requirements of the client. So this is actually, we use that as a site office and the meeting area, and as well as the accommodation for us to go from the Colombo to stay there. And then we'll move the service quarters away from the main function, the rooms, and it has their own private garden and a backyard. And the scale is, I'm trying to make it very thin lawn building, and the idea behind it, I just want to make it building to be vanished with the landscape, because the landscape is actually the current tea estate that is already functioning. So the elevation, I just want to make it very long, linear, black or a dark facade that is rubble, that is always available from the site, and they have used for the estate bungalows. And this is how it looks with the landscape and horizontal building that's merged with the landscape. It's going to be almost like a part of it. And the colors that we're always trying to see, make it like a part of the landscape or not to stand out. And building is almost like a part of the nature, and to make a blend with it. It's like a part of Sri Lankan culture. We're always trying to have a dialogue between the nature, water, everything connected, and from inside to outside. And this is a facade that I was talking. And initially what I want to do is like experience the valley without giving them a glimpse of what is beyond this boundary wall. So the boundary wall makes it like a barrier for the visitor who comes to the first impression of the space. So I make it like the retainer or the front facade, a rubble wall, to block the view. And then eventually you enter from the main space, then you are open out to the valley. The valley gets you a wow surprise. And that is the feeling that how to capture by the photography is a challenging thing. And then we're trying to experience a little bit of a projection that you give how to connect or going beyond the building limits by using a steel as a material that is make it a cantilever, and to get a new experience to the user. Still that cantilever feeling, but it has a support. Then you don't need to have a thick sections, but still the feel is, you can see that you're trying to go beyond that building line and trying to be a part of the nature. Is that what I want to experience and give experience as a feel? And some of the corridors, and trying to make a little bit of a dark ceiling and a few lines, and polished cement floors, and same texture that I'm trying to take it to the interior with a dark, cozy, inside, that it won't stand against the view of the window, that gives you a little bit of frame kind of a thing. And similar material that I've taken into the toilet. And some of the idea that I'm trying to have the little bit of edge that is like floating over that infinity edge of the water. The pool, it's a natural pool. We have trapped the water from the surrounding stream and taken back to the river. And from that project, I'm trying to take you to a different scale of the project. And it was a challenging, and it is a client came to me with a brief saying he wants to have a 5-bedroom hotel with a big restaurant with a 300 packs. So he said, if you can design more than 5, it's really good. But he don't know how to get that thing because the land is very small, or maybe a very slopey site. I can tell you, and again, there's a lot of regulation. So these are some of the fields that I was experienced in Sri Lankan context. One is the Sigiriya, that far in, from top of the mountain, that Sigiriya rock, how you see it, and then the world's end, that you feel like you are at the edge of the world. So this is the location plan, and you can see the main road, and then the lower road is a by road, but you can, that level difference between the two roads are about 60 feet. That's very steep. You can see the very narrow strip of land, and these are some of the sketches that we're trying to develop, or just trying to develop the design, and some of the sections. And this is what I'm trying to tell you about the project challenges that I face when I'm designing. Because the the permit or regulation is only giving 2-story building. How to get the 2-story building, have a restaurant for 300 people, and another regulation that they have provided is to the ground floor has to be transparent. So transparent means you can't have any solid building there. So that is because if you block the view, there is going to be public issue for that road is very like an important road from Kandy to Nuwara. So that is like a very much like a viewpoint for the public. So we have to leave the ground floor. So then the first floor is only that we can build. That is to have a restaurant. So where we can get the bedrooms is another challenging thing. But when I'm trying to do a section, then I'm already understand there are different lines are going to the ground level to get the structure up. So that is almost like more than 40 feet. So then I was realized that we can create more bedroom underneath the structure, so of the road level, that we already get a permit, because no one said that you can't go below the road level. It says you can't go more than 2-story from the ground level. So we achieved that 30 bedrooms finally with this section. And again, I'm trying to get a little bit of a extended view deck. That is, gives you a little bit of a feel of you are at the edge of the world kind of feeling. So that I'm trying to create a little bit of memorable space. When you're trying to design a hotel or some public spaces, those memorable things you always remember you have when you've been to a space. That is like what I'm trying to create with that deck. And this is the ground floor, parking area. And then the rest of the area is totally open. And the deck is, you can see the twist a little bit towards the reservoir to get the proper view from there. And the restaurant on the first floor level, and more rooms underneath the ground level, and catering design for 30 rooms. And with the same view of the each room from the toilet and the bedroom, you get same view, undisturbed. And this is a section from the road. And the construction photos that I'm trying to use, this is from the site inspection time. And we use totally local contractors, and it is like a very basic structure methods of construction. There's no crane we use for this kind of a structure. It's literally incredible to build from scaffolding GI tubes or from the 60 feet below to the road level. And this is how it looks after it's built. We are trying to match the landscape and not to make it stand out. This is from a distance photo, because architect, we have a responsibility that we are not disturbing the nature, and we shouldn't damage it for any photographers even to capture. We shouldn't stand and say that we are look at me kind of a thing, because it's beyond that is a beautiful view, not our building. There's a beauty of the nature that we need to capture. So the transparent, totally ground floor, and even the upper floor is like a restaurant with a glass. and from the lower road. And that's the cantilever that I was talking, looking at the reservoir, far distance. And, structurally, I have cantilevered 30 feet. Um, and this is how it looks from the road behind, that nobody can see that a 4-story structure coming from the ground level. And the interior, I was trying to make it very much like a cave, because when you have a dark room, your eye goes always to beyond the view or the window. Then you more focus to the outside. So I'm trying to make a little bit of a cozy, dark interior and less furniture, or only minimal furniture that is required for the guest. And this is the road level. And that's how it's captured in the evening. This is a view from the first floor level of the restaurant level, that it has a sliding doors that you can open out, and when in the bad weather that you can close it up, because it's very important in that climate. It's get very cold, so you get cold food, so it's better need to cover it when you have a bad or a cold weather. This is in a good sunny day. And that is another waterfall beyond that point. So that's why I call a waterfall hotel by the waterfall. And another few good photograph, I can say, trying to justice my concept of how to merge with the landscape. And it has given a value to my design. And how it changed with the time. In the evening shots, how the artificial lights come to play, and another shots of that time, little darker, and then this is like a little bit of a evening, and with the more artificial lights playing. Okay. I'm trying to select another project type. It's a renovation project, because from the initial bungalow to another kind of project. It's actually very challenging, because the client asked me to do a holiday home or a secondary home for himself. And that is, he gave me a picture of the building like this. He has given me opportunity to say, you can break it or you can renovate this. So I decided to make the renovation, because it is actually located, the perfect location, and again the trees has already grown. So if I move the building to somewhere else, that we have to cut a lot of trees. So what I've designed is to just to leave the foundation and use some of the wall, and remove the roof, and then change the entire architecture to match his requirement. But his requirements are very simple. He just want to have few rooms. One is for a reading, because he's a writer. And then one room for the daughter. She's doing a dancing, Indian dancing, so she needs a little bit of a different kind of interior for her room. And these are the old photos that you can see how the condition was. And then this is a plan that I'm trying to work with the original design, but I have tried to add a living space as a main thing, and convert the living space into a dining, and remove the roof and change the heights and the volumes. And then you can see the upper floor is totally like a terrace, and that I had designed as a new project, and with the double height space of the dining, and very simple section. And these are the old building that is trying to renovate, and that's the area that we try to add the living space. And these are some of the images, the same building, but different material, different time. And this is the extension that is done with the concrete as a retaining wall. Then we kept the concrete as a finish interior, and use a cut cement as a polished flooring. And you can see the connection from the old side to the new side, but replastered. And we're trying to capture the existing the big tree there, And beyond that is a paddy field. And this is his writing room that we're trying to create with the landscape on a vertical garden. That is very limited space that we couldn't extend, that is like a boundary wall. So, but we still trying to give him a space that is feel like he lives with the nature like the other sides of the house, and trying to create a little bit of a space acquired from the side boundary area to the toilet that gives you a little bit of a feel when you're even using the toilet. This is the daughter's bedroom. And this is a new balcony that we created just to frame the view. And beyond that, frame the paddy field again and enjoying the swing of little furniture piece. And this is again a reading area that he want to create it. So we're trying to get the canopy level as a that living space, but it's a new building, new section of the house. And trying to connect the nature inside, outside by having openable windows there. And the next project is I'm trying to show is a main project is a powerhouse, wind powerhouse. It's a wind farm in a Jaffna, 16 wind turbines that is giving quite a number, I think 10 megawatt kind of electricity they're creating. So this is the context and that is the layout. So you can see one corner is a SCADA building, that is the main powerhouse, and then the other corner is a bungalow staff quarters. So this is actually the powerhouse that I designed for them, but I'm not going to show that much of photograph of that. And this is how it is after its completion, but more like interior that I'm trying to create a little bit of filter, because this is like a very hot area. So I had to give a little bit of filtration of the light towards the interior. So we create a little bit of a the detail jali kind of a thing to filter the light and not to get the hot sun into it, and a courtyard open into the center space of the thing. And this is a concept, the sketch that I designed for the bungalow. At the site, actually, you can't see the lagoon next to it, but eventually we have walked towards the lagoon for the first time, and we saw that there's beyond the shrub jungle, there's a beautiful lagoon. So I immediately thought of building has to be above the shrub jungle. So I just raised the building more than an average height of 10 feet. So I lift the building 16 feet so to capture the view. So basically, the brief is very simple. It just says 4-bedroom house or a bungalow or a staff quarters. I kept all the main functions of the spaces like kitchen and the stores and caretaker room at the lower level, and trying to get a very much like a symmetrical building. But in the 4 corners, I'm trying to create the rooms, and in the middle, you can get a toilet. These are sections. You can see the ground floor is lifted 16 feet, including the 2 feet of plinth. And construction photos that we have taken. And this is how it looks with the landscape. And building itself is merged with the color of the shrub jungle or the marsh. But it's above the canopy, so you can see how it works with the context, and some of the more photographs from the other side of the grasslands. And this is how it looks when you are entering from the steps. And some of the nice photographs I can say in early morning. We stayed there and we took this photograph early morning with the sunrise. And some of the textures that I'm trying to play, it's very rustic because the construction methods is not so clever. I mean, like we couldn't find that much of a good, carpenters and masons from that area, but we managed to get the foam and to get a little bit of experience of winding that spiral staircase that we not commonly use these days, like spirals to go up And then I'm trying to experience that 16 feet you have to climb. So you won't feel that you're climbing that much if you're not having a straight staircase. So that gives me to take the guests to the first floor level without any um, disturbance or this is how, as you go from the staircase, you end up with the common lobby. And then when you go to the bedroom, I'm trying to get the corner invisible, that you're beyond that sliding doors. The windows are going into the walls, it's going to be invisible again. So 90-degree corner is totally like um, the frame, the view up beyond that, and you can see the lagoon and just one furniture and a few built-in cupboards there, and some of the evening shots. And okay, this is actually I completed in 2015 my own studio. So these are the inspiration. We always love this. I really enjoy this temple in Sri Lanka because it always have a higher ground. So then you have to go through the steps. And steps is like a journey from the lower level to the upper level and different experience. And beyond the steps is like you don't know what you experience. So it may be a flat land, or it may be another water body, or some pond can be. So it's a beautiful experience in all the different temples in Sri Lanka. So I'm trying to get that feel into my project. So, but it came with the idea of how you handle the site. So the site was like that, and it was like facing a marsh, and the size of the land is only 40 by 80. So I had to deal with some flooding because we were trying to understand how that water works in that marsh. They say that there are some occasional floods happening. So they say 3 feet sometimes. So they never know what's the height that they can get for the maximum flood. So we try to design or do some sketches and to understand that. And finally I decide I can't take a risk and I have to lift my building or my office above the ground level. So I just kept the ground as my services, parking and storeroom, model room, and then the caretaker room and pantry for staff. So I taken the importance of my office to the first floor level with a wide staircase going up, and then you coming to a spaces that is like the next level is with the bedroom and my living space. And then the topmost level, I'm trying to have a pavilion for entertain the guests and the friends. And then the section is very simple. You can see everything is floating and above the parking level that like allow the water to come in, and the marsh is like that. And then again, I've had a little bit of understand. I have to use some material that is not gives you a glare. So I select the concrete as a material for my indoor. Then again, I'm trying to think of how to cut the west sun because the building is facing the west. So I create a brick wall as a barrier in between the glass facade and the outside. So it blocks the entire west sun hitting the glass or the windows. Then again, I have tried to do a little bit of an experiment with these concrete finish walls, and I'm trying to lay a brick as a insulation and kept a 4-inch gap to take the pipes through the that. And I'm trying to achieve all these services through that, air conditioning and all the other service ducts. So you can see that is under construction photos. And I left the building for 1 month to experiment and all the tests, all the plumbing, whether it works, before I start putting the bricks to cover the windows. And this is how it looks. You can see this is an evening shot, the cast of the sun on that brick wall and block the windows and a bunch of holes trying to get the ventilation through that. And again, trying to frame the marsh of the view of the marsh through that as a lens or as a camera, and left the plaster unpainted. And this is a journey that I was trying to take it from the ground level to the top level. And this is how it looks when you're going with the wide steps and with the stones, and those are cobblestone from the road that we reused. from colonial time, the British period. They have paved all everything with the stones. We collected all that. And then there's a little beyond that, the little by little I'm taking, this is almost at the office level. And then you're coming to a double height space that is almost like you are connecting with the nature. And the whole thing can be open out. That is almost like you are in the part of the outside. And then beyond that, the glass is my office, where I want to have a little bit of controlled weather. So it's an air-conditioned space that with my models, and again, you can see the view of that space. And this is at upper level, and where I just kept my table for dining, but I'm using that as a meeting space with the consultant and the client. And this is the other side, but you can see there's a glass in between the ledge and the brick wall, and there's a 3 feet gap, but it can be openable to get ventilation. And that's another frame view from my bedroom, overlooking the marsh. And a naturally ventilated courtyard, that with the skylight. And this is the topmost level, the roof terrace that we can close with the sliding doors that is going into the wall. It can be opened fully. And again, a view of the marsh from the upper level. In different levels, you get different kind of views. And again, you can see how the Colombo developed from that side with the multi-story building apartments. But when you are inside the building, you may not able to see any of that building. Only use frame. I have tried to frame only the marsh or the beauty of the nature, and some of the details, light skylights and sculptures and the spiral staircase. And from this, I'm trying to take you to a little bit of urban project or a very tight project, because everything is more like beautiful. Then I have to challenge, I have a lot of challenges how to create if there's no beauty or if there's no focus. So we have to create something in between, within the site. So, and again, it's a site is very compact. So it is only, again, 45 by 60 is the width and the breadth of the site. So the brief is about to have a 3-bedroom house and with a limited budget. So in this project, I'm trying to create a jungle or a garden inside the house and give only the legal ventilated from the ventilation space from the behind. And then I'm trying to create a little bit of box kind of a thing, and you may not able to understand what is the inside from the main door. And that's a section, again, a little bit of winding staircase through the garden. And I'm trying to use a different color that I'm not used, and I thought it's going to be a little stand out from the landscape. And then as you enter from the main door, you're trying to frame the garden, and that's a feel that I want to have it like a surprise, oasis from the road, and you come into a space that is totally unexpected. And almost like you feel like you are built something among a garden or outdoor kind of a thing. Landscape is a major role in that design. And we're trying to use a lot of banana trees that it's not going to be very costly to get that scale. So banana plants was like the main feature in that house. And there are links that is going to the pantry area, but still it's like an atrium. And a lot of shadow cast with the beams that I'm trying to create. And you can see that beam that is like a pergolas, but in a thick way. And it gives you a lot of shades to the space, and again to hold the structure above you to cover some of the parts with the glass. That's a journey. That's actually a beautiful photo how we blend that my curves and with the natural forms. And when you're at the first floor level, you're trying to see the garden beyond that handrail. And then this is from the one bedroom looking at another bedroom. There's a visual link. and you can see the ground. So every floor, I'm trying to connect the spaces. Then you won't feel like you are isolated because it's a very small site that you can do. And this is the roof terrace level skylight that above the spiral staircase. And that is from master bedroom that overlooking the garden. And then this is my last project. Again, similar context in Colombo, and within facing a highway. And this was the site. There's nothing that you can inspire except that paddy field. And the budget was very tight. 10 million is like very small budget compared to any scale. And the good thing about it is the user is the client is an artist, so he can understand the creativity, and he'll approve everything what I said about how to cut down the cost. And we'll try to remove a lot of windows from the ground floor and leave that main space as his studio, and only lockable space is the bedroom level. And the section, I'm trying to create a little bit bigger volume for the studio, that he wants to work with a bigger scale of artwork. And then the rest of the things in a very low scale or a 9 feet level height. And the facade, it's like we create a lot of saving from by using a different kind of a timber for all the doors and windows. We never use one kind of thing. We collect whatever is available, and to cut down the cost, and brick as a main element in that house. And I'm trying to, gives you an experience of how you see through the shutters, and beyond that main door, I'm trying to take you to that little bit of a interior. And again, we're trying to create landscape to get the feel of the spaces and to make a nicer environment. That painting is by my client. He's the artist of that painting. And we create a lot of garden at the ground level, and trying to have a pond or a different experience at the upper level to connect with the water and close to it, and have his more time next to the master bedroom, connected with the water and that garden. That's the daughter's room, and she painted the door with the help of the father. Yeah, thank you.